my partner, Greg Fay. And every single week, we do our very best to help you, our community leader, learn more about businesses in our community. And today we have a serial entrepreneur, a veteran, Tim from Laundry or Bubble Shine Laundry. Tim, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show today.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
Tim, we're really excited about having you. I want to, first off, where did you come up with the name Bubble Shine?
You know, honestly, there was nothing special about it. My wife Jessica and I were just kind of kicking around some names and wanted to have something that kind of displayed something to do with laundry, bubbles, shine, something clean. Just kind of put it together. Ran it through obviously the domain names, and it was available, and it was really as simple as that. So I didn't want to be too. My one requirement was I just didn't want to be too limiting in the sense of saying something just Dayton, because in case I wanted to expand beyond the area. So that was really it. It was something that could basically, move on beyond Dayton.
I love it
That was
because
the
it's
genesis
fun.
of it.
Sounds fun. I mean, when I first
Yeah.
heard it, it just made me smile when I said it. So that's why my first question was my first question. I tell you, so you're a veteran. So you had an experience, a career in the military. You got out. You got into an ultra successful career where you're in the corporate world and did financially well, yet you decided to abandon all of that right there and jump into the world of entrepreneurship, the world of uncertainty, the world of high risk, but there is high reward. When did you know that you were going to make that decision right there? Number one. And number two, when did you know it was going to be Bubble Shine?
Well, I had, like I said, as you said, I was Air Force for a little over 5 years, and then spent 16 years in medical sales. And probably, it was probably about 3, 4 years ago. I was talking about it with my wife, like, hey, I want to start something of my own. Had no idea what I wanted to do, but I wanted essentially more freedom, control my own destiny. Um, and I originally started kicking around the idea of like acquiring like a laundromat. And so that's kind of where this whole thing started. But the more I researched into that, having like the brick and mortar laundromat, I, talking to other people in the industry, I, everybody was talking about laundry pickup and delivery. And it brought me back to, I'm not sure if you guys recall, when someone asked Wayne Gretzky, they said, hey, how he scored so many goals. And he said, because he didn't skate to where the puck was at, he skated where the puck was going.
Yeah.
And that's kind of that. It was kind of like the aha moment for me. I was like, you know what? We're more of a service-based economy. People are time poor. Laundry is arguably one of the most hated chores by people. So it was just kind of the culmination of all that, which kind of led me to creating Bubble Shine Laundry. And then again, the challenge still to this day is that I kid you not, guys, probably 80% of the people that I speak with have zero idea still that this service even exists.
Wow.
So um, that's the challenge right now.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: your business is built on a customer service model. You're about giving concierge level service to customers all over the Miami Valley, and you're picking up and dropping off and taking care of very personal things that sometimes have sentimental value, like maybe a duvet or something like that, or something that's just more practical, like that's my favorite dress shirt or my power tie or whatever the case is. When you think about customer service, what are the two or three things that businesses can't miss when it comes to good customer service?
Well, I mean, number one, I think that first and foremost, you gotta honor your commitments and do, do as advertised. And I always tell people this, like, I'm not with this kind of service. I'm not in the laundry business. I'm in the trust business.
Yeah.
You know, people are handing me over their
Like that.
personal items and stuff. So, I mean, you know, you have one time to make a good first impression. And if you blow it that first time, you're never going to hear from that customer again. And then, you know, you do that enough times the way the digital world works, you probably won't be in business too long. So, so I think that, you know, having people, you know, doing what you say you're going to do, honoring your commitments with what you're advertising, and just giving them a good product, you know, and essentially, and especially with this service specifically, giving people their time back. So, if you can, you know, follow through on those, I think that's absolutely key in this business.
One of the
I
things
love
that
that. I love that you said the time aspect right there.
For
Being
sure.
able to show somebody not only the problem that you solved, but the net benefit of that. Sorry, Tony, didn't mean to
Yeah.
step on you there. I just really like
I was heading in the same direction because I think that there are a lot of business leaders who are watching, and one of the things that we know is that we're selling more than a product. We're selling a feeling. We're selling something that matters to people at a deeper level. At what point in the entrepreneurial process did you realize that this wasn't really about laundry? It was really about time and opportunity for the individual who's giving you the trust of picking up their stuff.
Yeah, I think that it was fairly early on when I latched on with my software company who runs it's the meat of our system that for deliveries, pickups, it keeps track of everything. Well, the people at the software company they were early pioneers in the pickup and delivery business. And they were saying from day one, like, you're not selling laundry. Or clean laundry. You're selling time savings. That's your value prop right there. And if you look at like our social media, you know, yeah, it might have some pictures of laundry, but everything is centered around, hey, you know, give us your laundry so you can spend your time with, you know, with what matters most, spending time with your family, you know, going golfing, doing hobbies. You don't need to, you know, carve out 6 to 8 hours on a weekend to sit there and do laundry. So that's kind of like that's kind of, like I said, I recognize that early on to not focus so much just on the product is kind of it's more focusing on the lifestyle that you're providing someone or the time back.
Starting a business is hard, Tim. I've done it. Tony's done it, and now you've done it. What's the hardest thing? What was the thing that was hiding in the bushes on you that you did not expect, and just the toughest thing?
Yeah, I mean, you know, going into this, especially when, you know, when so many people are still kind of uneducated about the service being available. And when I started this, you know, I jumped in. I didn't know if I was gonna get an order. You know what I mean? Like the first month, you're sitting around. So, and I'm not the most patient person. So the biggest challenge to me was just the build up and kind of what it takes is, you know, until there's a little bit, you know, word of mouth and things start kind of, you know, moving along. But yeah, I guess it's just the slowness at first, but luckily for me, I mean, things got rolling fairly soon. And I credit a lot of that to my wife and the salon and the way women talk. So I don't know if I told you about my wife, Tony, my wife owns a salon in town pretty big. And so things kind of kicked off from there, and one person tells another, and then you know, it kind of sprouted out from there.
They're going to be one of our guests here coming up in the next month or so.
Oh,
Just so
good.
you know.
Good. Oh.
T, go ahead.
Well, one of the things I was thinking about was being an entrepreneur couple, right? And so, you know, as a business owner, one of the things that happened is that it's really hard to turn off work. It's really hard to kind of figure out how to integrate it all. So you've got your business, your wife has her business. You guys are doing life together. Family is integrated into all of it. You're obviously helping each other out. What do you guys do to create good boundaries so that your marriage can stay healthy?
Wow. You went deep on me there, Tony.
It's a force of habit.
Well, I mean, we actually, I mean, we carve out time on the weekends, that, hey, whether it be date night or whatever. But what is great about it is that with her being a business owner, now myself, that we can kind of we bounce different, customer stories off each other. Hey, what would you do in this situation? We actually, we kind of ham and egg it pretty well together. So, yeah, I mean, we and I always tell people this, that starting a business, I mean, if I didn't have a supportive wife, I mean, there's no way I'd be able to do this, especially with three kids, later in life. So if you didn't have that, I mean, I probably wouldn't even have the guts to go for it, to be honest with you. But so yeah, if you have a supportive spouse, that's what I think that is actually key. And whatever.
Tony, their family grew pretty quick. They went from having one to having three because Jessica
Oh,
had twins the second time around, and I remember seeing her at the salon when they were still at their old location. And I didn't know that she was pregnant. And she looked at me, she says, twins. And I said, boy, you guys got in the game
oh,
quick. You guys went from
yeah.
one to three.
Yeah, that was a surprise, but I mean, it was just like I was kind of like deer in the headlights, when I first found out. But now it's like now you can't picture life without the two of them together.
Sure.
That's
Right.
crazy.
You guys, you're obviously you're managing a lot. You've got three young kids. You've got all of these things. What are some of the disciplines that you do on a regular basis? I mean, I know I see you in the gym all the time.
Yeah.
What are some of your can't miss, like routines, personal habits, disciplines? What are the things that we can steal from you to make ourselves better?
No, I think that obviously, as you mentioned, I think that working out, getting your day started there, just kind of, gives you energy throughout the whole day. If you don't, obviously, if you don't have your health, and then, you don't have anything else. So, you got to start. You got to start there. Um, I'm real big into staying up to date, whether it be whatever industry you're in, I listen to podcasts, the news. You got to be knowledgeable about your industry and kind of where it's going. Um, Something that what's exciting for me, that I'm like interested in is, this is, I guess most people would consider this a boring business. It's laundry, right?
Yeah.
But if you look, the stuff that I follow, if you look, maybe 5, 10 years down the line, I mean, we're talking about, you know, folding robots. We're talking, we all know that autonomous vehicles are coming. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that I think like AI can be, complementary to this business, not so much overtake it like some businesses. So, but yeah, so like I said, I always want to, I kind of always every day work out, I'm reading, staying up to speed on the industry, and then outside of business, I mean, I never want to. I always make time for my kids, no matter what. That's the priority, and you know, I don't want them to look back and say, Daddy was always. I do work a lot, but I don't want them to say that Daddy was always working and never had time for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me contrast the question I asked you about what was difficult, what was the most difficult thing, what was hiding in the bushes. What's been surprisingly easy? Something that came along that, whether it be a process or something, what was surprisingly easy about it?
I don't know if anything's been easy, but I guess I wouldn't say easy. I'll turn it into what's been, I guess, surprising in a good way. Just like I said, right now, currently, starting the business, I do all the driving for the business. So I'm the one that actually gets to sometimes interact with customers, whether it be dropping off, picking up. And what kind of gives you motivation to that, hey, I'm on to something here. I remember I was speaking with a customer. This was just about a month ago, and she was almost in tears, telling me that my service probably saved her marriage. because her and her husband were fighting about who was going to fold the laundry and all the.
Tim, you didn't see that coming, that you were going to be saving marriages. You
Yeah,
knew
I
that.
was like, wow. I'm like, yeah. So I'm the marriage saver as well. So, but no, but it's like you get all these like cool little stories, just from people, little snippets about, hey, how much time you saved them, how much you took off their plate, So like I said, I mean, I don't mean to. I don't mean to switch up your question, but that was kind of like, I wouldn't say, easy, but that's what makes making a career change easy, is when you get kind of great feedback like that.
Yeah, it's the unexpected gift.
I'll tell you,
Tony, you're a marriage
this is a
counselor.
funny
Can
story.
Tim now add marriage counselor to his
Yeah,
resume?
right?
Is that
Yeah,
not
absolutely,
yet?
100%, 100%.
I gotta tell you guys that this is a funny story, real quick. One of my best friends I grew up with back in California. So he saw the stuff online and every, I didn't call him and say, hey, I started a business, but he saw the social media and everything. He calls me. He's like, dude, that's awesome. He said, I did not know so many people in Ohio don't have washers and dryers. I go, and I just shook my head, but it also made me think. I said, dude, is there like a portion of people that think that like the people ordering this service don't have a washer dryer? And I'm like, I don't know, he literally thought that. And I had to explain to him. I said, no, this is supplemental, like every one of our customers for the most part has a washer dryer. This is to take this is basically to take a lot of it off their plate, and they can do some maintenance at home, or but I was just like, it was kind of eye-opening, because I think that some people might think that, this is for people that don't have washers and dryers. And I said, no, that's not what this is about.
You just cleared that up, Tim. You just cleared it up. Nobody's wondering that anymore. You just cleared it up.
Oh, so good. Well, listen, we really want to honor your time. I'm curious though, if you were sitting across from a young leader, he or she's maybe thinking about starting their own business, maybe they're going to make the same career change that you made, right? If you were going to look at that young entrepreneur and give them some wisdom that you've gleaned over the years, what would be the top piece of advice that you would give a new entrepreneur?
Number one, I would say absolutely, find the leaders, or just some top voices within your industry, whatever, people that you respect that have been successful, and let them mentor you. And I mean, what I've found, people that are successful, they want to give back and they want to teach,
Sure.
So find those voices, and kind of lean on them for, and like just to go back to what I initially said, I was going down the path of trying to acquire a brick and mortar laundromat until I found, some voices saying, hey, Tim, this is the direction you want to go. We're going laundry pickup and delivery. That's the way it's going. And it made me completely pivot. So without digging in with, and doing your due diligence and research and reaching out to people, I probably would have been on a different path, and maybe one that I would have regretted. So I would say just dive in. And I mean, with the way, you got LinkedIn and, every other social media, I mean, it's not that hard to find people these days. And like I said, I think people are more, if someone reached out to me, I mean, I would gladly carve out time and talk to them, and, give them advice on what I would do if I were them.
Love it. Where can everybody learn more about you if they're ready to get some of their own time back and be a part of the Bubble Shine Laundry family? Where can they sign up for the services, learn more, and get connected?
Yep. Everything, just visit our website, bubbleshinelaundry.com. Everything's booked online, fully customized orders. And then you can also follow us on social media at Bubble Shine Laundry, Instagram, Facebook, we're on LinkedIn. So we're not hard to find. We've actually had some pretty good exposure. We had a nice write-up in the Dayton Business Journal. And then just recently we were on TV for Now in the Natty, because we serve some of the northern Cincinnati communities. So
Awesome.
we're rolling along. But again, bubbleshinelaundry.com is where you're going to find everything. We have a great FAQ section, as well as photo gallery so you can kind of see the product and see what we're all about.
That's great. And because we're always looking for other businesses to spotlight, what are 3 businesses in the Miami Valley that you absolutely love?
Ooh, Bang Salon.
I beat you. I beat you to it, Tim.
What's
I already texted Jessica and Michonne. I beat you to it, buddy.
So are you asking because you want to feature them?
Yeah. Just give them a shout out. Maybe feature, maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll see how that all works out. But in the meantime, we love to just prop people up.
No. Yeah. Bang Salon. I don't know if it's a small business, but I would say NCR Country Club.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's,
absolutely.
those are. I've been there for a little while, so I'm sure that there'd be some nice information that you could gather from those folks there.
Well, all 3 of us know Mike at Club 51. We'll have
Oh yeah,
Mike
Club
at Club 51 on here.
Club
but,
51. Yep, we could. You could. I think they would be a great feature.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to think of some new like restaurants that maybe that I've been to.
Well, you can always send us an email. We love the
Yeah.
feedback. And, Tim, we're so thankful for your time today, your wisdom, your willingness to lean in and share all that. It's an absolute joy to connect with like-minded leaders.
Okay.
Yes,
I
I
appreciate
have.
it, guys. Thanks for your time.
Awesome.